I think I don't know if it's recording already. There it is.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
There it is. So, well, first of all, thank you for your time. I know we don't have much, so let's go straight into witness, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
So, musically speaking, how did you guys get to it coming out of the Applause album cycle?
So I think this album is very much a reaction to Applause, and that album was a bit more mellow than our debut album, than in Mesas, and a bit more dynamic, and the production was more lively, I would say. And having done that, it felt interesting to go back to something that was a bit more processed sounding and more in your face and more heavy. So it yeah, it was about finding that approach that felt fresh to us, and it was to go down a route that was uh, yeah, a bit more metal sounding, I guess, overall.
Yeah, I see that. So the record has a lot of diversity into it. Does that have to do with the input of every member varying within each song? I mean, in that sense, do you have any rules in terms of songwriting?
I think we all like music that is very dynamic and that has different moods in it. So we all like a band like Porcupine Tree, for example. Um, and I think what has inspired us, what we've taken from them, is that it's possible to explore different moods within the same song and to explore many moods on an album. So it's something that we all appreciate in music. Um, but it is sometimes when we write that, for example, the drummer Adam will come up with a groove, and so he will start the song, and then maybe Martin on keys will create something from that, and I will continue from that point. So the diversity also sometimes comes from being different band members involved, I would say.
Yeah, I can see that. So we were discussing the blog a few days ago the idea that synth is becoming a much more important instrument to develop extreme music, mostly metal nowadays. A revival that's taking shape into what can be called modern era synth prog, and VOLA definitely fits the profile. So the use of electronic elements and synths, how do you think it has affected and upgraded your style?
Mm, I think it was something I discovered through Soilwork, for example. I really appreciated how they could lift a chorus, for example, by adding like strings and maybe a synth melody, just to make it sound even bigger. And yeah, of course, also Porcupine Tree use it in their own way. But it's a nice way of making like a grandiose section even more grandiose sounding. And it's just also, I think it's an easier way to create like cinematic soundscapes than just by working on a guitar, for example. And I will very often just play. There will very often just be one guitar roll throughout a song.
Yeah.
Because I'm the only guitar player, and we like to keep it simple. So whenever we need to expand the production, we will just add keyboard layers. So yeah, we will sometimes end up with 20 different keyboard rolls or something, just because that's the place we sort of create depth in the songs. So yeah, I think it's very important instrument for us.
Yeah, indeed. So as you evolve as a band and expand your sound palette by experimenting with new elements album after album, does that process feel natural? Does it always feel like VOLA? Or did you find yourselves at some point thinking that you may have gone too far?
I think for us, the important part is that there is like if you get rid of all the layers of the songs, there should still be a simple tune beneath it all that you could maybe just play on an acoustic guitar. So I think we're very aware of having that basic songwriting there, and then it's pretty much just up to our imagination how we, like, what context we place that song in, and that can be metal, and that can be rock, or some acoustic folk thing, or electronic music. Yeah, we haven't. I don't think we have found our limits yet in that regard. So I think we're ready for almost anything if we think the song is good.
That's great. So, do you think your creative force is strongest with Witness compared to previous records, or how would you measure that when looking back and seeing your own work done?
I think we have grown in terms of producing, for example. Like we've become more aware of how effective it can be to add a synth line, repeating a vocal line, or adding percussion, or putting different effects on the vocals, for example. So just elements that will make the recording more entertaining to listen to. Yeah. I think we've gotten better at that. In terms of the songwriting, like the basic songwriting, I think we found our sound, if you can say that, on the Monsters EP, and then developed on that further in Mazes. And I don't think this necessarily is better songwriting than our two previous albums, but it's maybe more interesting to listen to because of those higher production value in terms of many elements going on, I would say. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Going back to Witness per se, one of the key topics is the misuse of power and failed relationships on a societal scale. Can you expand a bit on that? Were you inspired by a particular event, or perhaps the current state of the world as a whole?
I think it came very, very intuitive to me. For example, Head Mounted Sideways, as you say, is speaking about society and how societies are running themselves into the ground because of people in power not behaving responsibly. But it's seen from a character's point of view. So it was an intuition to write something angry, and then it became this from this point of view of someone who is angry at these people in power. But I think that's a very interesting place to be in terms of lyrics, to find this character from which the songs will develop. And a lot of the songs are about relationships dissolving. So that will more be seen from the point of view of maybe one of the people involved in these relationships and that's where I usually go. I would say it's rarely that lyrically I will comment on society, but it's often the heavier songs that do that in a way. It's the same with Smart Friend, for example, from Applause.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a connection between like an angry mood and then writing about society. I don't know.
It might be. Does the concept of every album come before or after the music, or does it vary from time to time?
It varies. I would say very often in the demo phase, I will not really know what the song will be about, but there will be maybe one line in the lyrics, in the demo lyrics, that will make sense, and that will be the foundation for the rest of the lyrics. And I think for Applause, I had maybe the lyrics 50% done or something, or a bit less, when I sort of realized that many of them were pointing in the same direction, and I sort of steered the rest of them towards this common theme of the internet and social media. And I think it was a bit later in this process that I realized that many of the songs were about relationships, dissolving. So yeah, it's never the same from album to album, and it's very often something I will discover gradually, like what I'm writing about. So that there's not a big plan from the start.
So there's always like a preconceived idea, but not the concept.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's exciting just to see where the song takes the lyrics sometimes.
Yeah.
Instead of being bound to a specific topic to start with.
Yeah. So, talking about the songs on the album, what's your favorite song? If it's too difficult, I'll accept the song you're most eager to play live.
Yeah. Well, I think Straight Lines is like has a drive to it that I don't think many of our other songs have. It has a lot of energy, I think, and I'm pretty proud of how I think the verse is both very groove oriented but also melodic at the same time, and I like how the vocals and the guitar rhythm follow in that song. I think it's a place that we haven't been that much before.
Yeah.
And then there's these Black Claws. I would say it means something special because it has that rap part in it, which I also think gives it a certain mood that we haven't had before. 24 Light Years, I really think has something special due to Adam's strange drum rhythm.
Yeah, indeed.
Which that's one of the things that I think I look for as a listener myself, is something that has a lot of intricacy to it, like it's a detailed sound picture, like soundscape. that you might discover new things in every time you listen.
Yeah.
But in that production, there's also just a pretty simple song. So there's something initially very simple that you can hold on to as a listener, and then there's like a production of something with more depth going on. So I think I hope we managed to do that well with that song.
Yeah, I think you did. I mean, it's a quite delicate song, quite mellow as well, but there are a few details like Adam's drum pattern. It's the with a few listens, you may discover something hidden in there. It's quite beautiful.
Cool.
So now that you mentioned This Black Claws, it's one of the songs that obviously caught my attention. I really need some background on how that song came up, as well as the Shaman collaboration.
Yeah. So we had written the demo with me rapping that second verse, and it sounded fun, but we would like something more evil. And I'm not very trained in that way of singing, and my voice can't go as low as as his voice can. The guy who ended up doing it from Shaman. So we started searching when we'd written the demo, and we're about to record the real version. We searched for like a rapper with a low-pitched voice, and I stumbled upon this name, Shaman, on YouTube in a comment, and I checked it out, and it was exactly the voice we were looking for. So eventually we contacted like the rapper from that duo called Bless, and yeah, he was up for collaborating. So he wrote his own lyrics, and he sent us some takes of him rapping it, and we put it into the production, and I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, indeed. It's so bizarre, but I loved it. It's
cool.
It's a great song. I hope everyone loves it as well. Well, moving on. VOLA is well known for propelling a new sound into the prog sphere, a well-documented genre. As an artist, an approach to this with originality and authenticity is usually preceded by a phase of discovering, learning, and often emulating others. How would you describe VOLA's path towards its own vibe and unique feel in the field?
It's I think many of my inspirations are from when I was a teenager, and a lot of albums that I think have shaped me came out like around the early 2000s. So when I was around 20 maybe. So yeah, it's bands like Porcupine Tree and Opeth and Soilwork and Meshuggah. Those are some of the bands that have shaped my songwriting the most, I think. And I would say we started out like we didn't have the 7-string guitars in the beginning, for example. So the sound has become heavier over time, I would say. at least up to our second EP, the Monsters EP.
Yeah.
And from that point, we've just tried to juggle with all those inspirations I talked about earlier. But it's, I think for me it's not really that conscious anymore what inspires. It's just it's a lot of those bands from that I got into back then that still that's still in my mind, I guess, and that pops up as inspiration, but it's not very conscious at this point.
It's more like a part of yourself.
Like I guess so.
Like an extension of what you think.
Yeah.
What you feel.
Yeah. And I think it's very hard to discover new music now that has the same effect on me as what I listened to back then.
Yeah.
I don't know, how do you feel about music? Like when was your favorite music released?
Well, sorry, I didn't catch.
I think many people have developed, like they discover their favorite music from their 15 to 25 or something.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So when you get older, it's hard to develop that same relationship to newer artists because of that.
Yeah. I think you're right. So, how does VOLA walk the fine line between sticking with a good idea, if you find one, or keep looking for a better version of your music?
I think the music has to be enjoyable on repeated listens. So when we write demos, we will upload them to we have a server and we will all listen to it. And for me to be satisfied, I need to have an urge to listen to it on repeat and to just be able to enjoy it as a music listener, like if it was any other artist. And if it reaches that level of just being entertaining to listen to again and again, it will mean that the song is done, I would say. And if we all feel that in the band, so once we reach that point, we won't work anymore on that song, I think. Yeah.
Has that happened to you very often? I mean, having to having to keep working on a song because of not really being enjoyable after repeated listens.
Yeah, it happens sometimes, and I think very often those songs, they will not, like, we will stop working on them at some point, just discard them, because like if a song needs too much work, I think it will often mean that there's something in the foundation of it that just doesn't work well. I think some of the best songs we write are created pretty fast, like where the intro riff inspires the verse and that leads to the chorus, like where you reuse an idea again and again.
Yeah, like the most spontaneous ones.
Yeah, exactly. So that's usually a good sign.
Yeah.
If the writing is fast and smooth.
Was there a song on Witness that was particularly difficult to record, or you almost like you almost discarded it?
Let me think. I think the song Napalm was the one that demanded most work, maybe. That's actually that is an old riff. The first riff in that song, like the first heavy riff. That's an older riff, I think, from maybe back when we wrote in Mazes or something.
Mm.
And that song demanded a bit more tweaking the parts and rearranging a bit than some of the than the others. I would say. But overall, the songs came together pretty fast. Like we wrote them in 4 months or something. So.
Oh, well, great. Well, I have a few more questions, just a couple of them.
Yeah, sure.
So, you guys have toured with well-established acts like Monuments, Haken, even Katatonia and Dream Theater. Who gave you the more welcoming embrace into that touring circuit and their stage?
If they embraced us, or sorry?
Who gave you the more welcoming embrace into that touring circuit and their stage?
Well, they were all very nice. We unfortunately didn't get to speak very much with Dream Theater because that was only 2 gigs.
Mm.
So I didn't really get to know them, but and yeah, understandably, like they were very busy preparing, but we got to know the musicians in the other bands quite well, and there was no like rock star attitude going on. It was very down to earth and just very easy. So yeah, definitely enjoyable. And I would say especially Katatonia, that tour was quite special for me because firstly it was our first tour, and secondly I've been a Katatonia fan for many years, so it was quite special to sit and talk with those guys and ask questions about their songs.
Yeah.
So so that
I
was
can only imagine.
surreal.
Yeah.
That was surreal.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, so that tour will always mean something special to me, I guess.
Oh, that's great. So, talking about touring, I know we're still with the pandemic going on, but looking into the future, are there any plans for VOLA touring Latin America?
It would be awesome, no doubt. It's
quite difficult though.
Yeah, difficult, definitely. So right now we have planned to play in Denmark, here in May and June, because that's just as easiest at this point, because
yeah, sure,
touring internationally demands that all the countries we want to tour in are sort of on the same level in terms of opening up. And that probably means that we're looking into next year for touring more thoroughly for this album. And I would love to come to South America, definitely. I hope so. It's something I hope we'll do very soon, at least. But I can't promise anything.
Yeah.
But it would be awesome.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
Well, I have a last question.
Sure.
That's actually a kind of a trademark question in our blog that we ask to every artist we interview. If you could relate your musical ideas and artistic expression to other works of art, such as a book, a film, a painting, or other bands and artists, which one would it be and why?
Good question. I love listening to podcasts. So maybe making a VOLA podcast going through an album, like with a mix of like talking and soundscapes, and then the songs. So like an audio experience, in some sense, could be cool. Yeah, or maybe a TV series. But that's a big project.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like some of your music videos that have quite a great production.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I'll have to think about it. But thanks.
It's okay. Well, Asger, that would be it. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, sure.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, likewise.
Well, that would be all.
Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks to you.
All right.
Hope you have a great day.
Likewise.
Bye-bye.
Bye.